Namaste and welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the book Unplugged, Living Mindfully in a Digital World. I'm very excited to share the wisdom in this book with you. For those of you who don't have the time to read the whole book, I'll go over the main points and ideas so you can still be in the know. And if you enjoy the summary and want to learn more, a link to buy the book is in the description below. Now let's begin with Chapter 1, The Digital Dilemma. This chapter explores the two sides of our relationship with technology, the incredible benefits it brings to our lives, and also the potential downsides. It's amazing how much we depend on technology today, isn't it? We start our mornings checking our smartphones, we stay connected with friends and family through social media, and we get our work done more efficiently using different digital platforms. Imagine life without these advancements. It would be quite different for many of us. This chapter acknowledges how technology has transformed communication, making it convenient and efficient. For example, consider how easy it is to connect with someone on the other side of the world through video calls. We no longer have to wait for letters or make expensive international calls, and the level of convenience we experience because of technology is remarkable. From ordering groceries online to managing our finances with just a few clicks, technology has simplified so many areas of our lives. However, the chapter also reminds us of the drawbacks of our dependence on technology. It highlights concerns about distractions, being overloaded with information, and the stress of always being connected. Have you heard the statistic about how people check their phones over 150 times a day? That's something to think about. Yes, and these constant distractions can lead to difficulty focusing on tasks, especially those requiring deep thinking. Another challenge is information overload. We are constantly bombarded with news, updates, and opinions from all directions. It can leave us feeling mentally exhausted and overwhelmed. The book also shares examples of how technology dependence affects us in the real world. For instance, it mentions nomophobia, which is the fear of being without your phone. I think a lot of us can relate to that feeling of anxiety when our phone battery is low or we've left our phone at home. It's true.
Or that feeling of unease when you're in a place with no signal. It's a real phenomenon, and it underscores how attached we've become to our devices. The chapter also discusses workplace burnout, which can be fueled by the expectation to be constantly available and connected even outside of work hours. That's a challenging situation. Technology allows for flexible work arrangements, but it also blurs the lines between our personal and professional lives. The chapter also sheds light on the impact of social media on mental health, especially for younger generations. It explains how social media can make people feel inadequate or have low self-esteem because they're constantly comparing themselves to others who seem to have perfect lives. This digital dilemma is something we all deal with in today's world. It's not about getting rid of technology altogether, but it's about learning to use it in a mindful and intentional way so that it helps us, not controls us.
Moving on to Chapter 2, How Technology Impacts Mental Health. This chapter examines the science behind how screens and notifications affect our brains, specifically the concept of the dopamine loop, which is a fascinating yet somewhat concerning aspect of technology use. Remember how we talked about dopamine being released when we get notifications or likes on social media? Well, this chapter explains that this continuous stimulation of the reward system in our brains can lead to addictive behavior patterns. It's like our brains become wired to want these digital rewards. The book also explores the psychological effects of social media, highlighting how it can lead to social comparison and a distorted view of reality. The curated and often unrealistic portrayals of other people's lives on platforms like Instagram can make us feel inadequate or envious. It is easy to fall into the trap of comparing our lives to the highlight reels we see on social media. We tend to forget that everyone faces challenges and that these platforms often only showcase the positive aspects of people's lives. The chapter goes on to discuss the connection between excessive technology use and mental health conditions. Studies show a correlation between heavy social media use and increased rates of anxiety, depression, and even burnout. The statistics are quite concerning. It appears that the always-on culture that technology has created can have some serious consequences for our mental well-being. Next is Chapter 3, where the book challenges a commonly held belief, the productivity myth. It argues that technology doesn't automatically make us more productive, and in some cases can even have the opposite effect. Multitasking, often seen as a benefit of technology, can actually hinder productivity. Our brains are not designed to handle multiple complex tasks simultaneously. Instead of doing several things well, we end up doing several things poorly. The book also explains the concept of task switching. It takes more time and mental energy to switch between tasks than it does to focus on one task at a time. We may feel like we're being efficient, but in reality we're just busy, not truly productive. Also, the never-ending stream of notifications and messages disrupts our workflow, leading to fragmented attention and reduced efficiency. It's like we're constantly being pulled away from the task at hand, never fully immersed in our work. The chapter also highlights the psychological effects of this always-on mentality. It can lead to increased stress and a feeling of constantly being overwhelmed. The pressure to respond immediately to every notification can take a toll. Although we might feel a sense of urgency to check every notification, it's important to set boundaries and prioritize our mental well-being. This brings us to Chapter 4, Mindfulness in the Digital Age. This chapter offers a solution to the challenges posed by technology, and it revolves around being mindful. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment without judgment. The book explains how this practice can be applied to our digital interactions. It's about becoming more aware of how we use technology, how it affects our thoughts and emotions, and how to make conscious choices about our digital engagement. The chapter offers practical tips for practicing mindfulness while using devices, such as focusing your attention on one task at a time, being aware of your body sensations, and taking intentional tech breaks to refocus. For instance, instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media, the book suggests pausing to ask yourself, what is my reason for using this app right now? It's about bringing awareness to our digital habits, making conscious choices about how we spend our time online. The chapter also emphasizes the importance of creating tech-free zones and times to reclaim personal space and time. For example, keeping your bedroom a device-free zone can help you sleep better, and having tech-free family meals can lead to more meaningful connections. These are really useful tips that many of us can easily implement in our daily lives. Making these small changes can have a big impact on our overall well-being. Next, Chapter 5 takes us into the world of our digital lives, with a focus on how we can organize them for better focus and clarity. Designing your digital environment. Just as we declutter our homes, we should also declutter our devices. This chapter encourages us to organize our apps, files, and notifications to reduce overwhelm and enhance focus. The book highlights the benefits of minimalist design and intentional app usage. It suggests simplifying your home screen, using interfaces that promote single tasking, and adopting a one app at a time philosophy. These practices can minimize distractions and improve productivity. Something that really stood out to me in this chapter was the importance of setting clear intentions before using apps. Instead of opening an app out of habit or boredom, take a moment to ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish by using this app right now? It's a simple yet powerful practice that helps us stay in control of our digital interactions. This helps us to avoid getting swept away by the endless stream of content and notifications. Let's move on to Chapter 6, where we explore the art of setting boundaries with technology, an essential skill in our hyper-connected world. This chapter emphasizes the need to create device-free zones and times to reclaim personal space and time. For example, making your bedroom a tech-free zone, or at least keeping devices out of reach while in bed, can help you create a sanctuary for rest and relaxation. The book also highlights the importance of establishing tech-free times, such as having device-free dinners to encourage meaningful conversations and connections with family. Imagine a dinner table where everyone's present, engaged in conversation, and not glued to their screens. It's a lovely image, and it's something we can actively work towards in our own lives. It's about reclaiming those moments for genuine connection and presence. The chapter also offers techniques for reducing our dependence on technology. This can include using airplane mode to avoid distractions or switching your phone to grayscale to make it less visually appealing and less likely to draw you in. These are great little tricks to help us detach from the constant digital stimulation. I think we often underestimate how much our devices demand our attention. Chapter 7 tackles the challenge of technology and work-life harmony. This chapter recognizes how difficult it can be to maintain a healthy balance between our professional and personal lives in a world where we are constantly connected to work through technology. The book offers practical strategies for managing the constant influx of emails and messages. Some suggestions include setting designated times for checking email, establishing clear expectations for response times, and creating a routine for digitally disconnecting at the end of the workday. One piece of advice that resonated with me was the suggestion to turn off work-related notifications outside of work hours. It's a simple change that can make a huge difference in creating a mental separation between work and personal time. It's so important to establish those boundaries and prevent work from seeping into all aspects of our lives. It's about protecting our personal time and giving ourselves the opportunity to truly disconnect and recharge. Now let's talk about Chapter 8, Mindful Social Media Use. This chapter focuses on how we can use social media in a way that supports our well-being rather than draining it. The chapter advises us to curate our social media experience. This involves unfollowing accounts that trigger negativity, following accounts that align with our values and interests, and recognizing and avoiding comparison traps. It's about creating a social media feed that is positive, inspiring, and uplifting. We don't have to follow accounts that make us feel bad about ourselves or our lives. We have the power to choose what we see and how we want to feel. The chapter also encourages taking intentional breaks and digital detoxes from social media to prevent fatigue. It's a good reminder that it's okay to step away from these platforms and reconnect with ourselves and the world around us. This brings us to Chapter 9, Encouraging Mindfulness in Families. This chapter provides guidance on navigating technology use within a family dynamic. It emphasizes the importance of teaching children healthy digital habits. This can include setting clear limits on screen time, encouraging digital literacy, and creating tech-free zones and times within the home. It's about establishing a healthy balance from a young age. The chapter also highlights how crucial it is for parents and caregivers to model balanced tech use. Children learn by watching us, so we need to be mindful of our own digital habits and demonstrate responsible and intentional technology use. One of the key takeaways from this chapter is the importance of creating family rituals that minimize screen distractions and encourage connections. This could include activities like tech-free family meals, game nights, or outdoor adventures, where everyone can be fully present and engaged with each other. These are wonderful ways to create lasting memories and strengthen family bonds. In our technology-saturated world, it's essential to carve out these spaces for genuine connection and shared experiences. Chapter 10 dives into the art of reclaiming your attention. This chapter highlights how valuable our attention is and how easily it can be hijacked by the constant bombardment of digital distractions. The chapter explores the benefits of mindfulness exercises for improving focus and attention. Techniques such as mindful breathing, body scan meditations, and mindful walking can help us cultivate a greater sense of presence and awareness in our daily lives. These practices bring our focus back to our bodies, our breath, and the sensations of the present moment. It's about training our minds to resist the pull of distractions and to choose where we direct our attention. In a world that's constantly competing for our attention, these practices are invaluable. Now let's move on to Chapter 11, Productivity in a Digital World. This chapter shifts our focus to achieving true productivity without succumbing to the pressures of busy culture. The chapter emphasizes the difference between being busy and being truly productive. It suggests that true productivity is about aligning our efforts with our values and goals, prioritizing meaningful work, and using technology to enhance our effectiveness, rather than allowing it to become a source of distraction or stress. The book highlights effective productivity techniques like the Pomodoro technique. In this technique, you break down work into intervals, separated by short breaks. This method helps maintain focus and prevent burnout by incorporating regular intervals of rest. Another technique is time blocking, which involves scheduling specific blocks of time for particular tasks or activities. This allows you to structure your day for maximum impact and ensure that important work gets done. The chapter also introduces the 2-minute rule, a simple yet effective principle that suggests if a task can be completed in 2 minutes or less, you should do it immediately. This prevents small tasks from piling up and becoming overwhelming. It's about reclaiming control over our time and energy, focusing on what truly matters, and using technology as a tool to achieve our goals without sacrificing our well-being in the process. Finally, we arrive at Chapter 12, The Future of Technology and Mindfulness. This chapter looks ahead to the evolving landscape of technology and the role mindfulness practices will continue to play in navigating this ever-changing world. The chapter explores the potential impact of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and the Internet of Things. It predicts that these advancements will bring both opportunities and challenges, and it stresses the importance of staying grounded in the present moment, creating digital boundaries, and fostering real-life connections as technology continues to evolve. The key takeaway from this chapter is that while technology will undoubtedly continue to advance and reshape our world, mindfulness will be crucial for navigating these changes in a healthy and balanced way. It's about embracing the positive aspects of technology while remaining aware of its potential pitfalls and consciously choosing how we want to interact with it. So that concludes our summary of the 12 chapters in Unplugged, Living Mindfully in a Digital World. I hope this overview has been helpful and informative for you. The journey to a balanced life in the digital age is an ongoing process, but by incorporating mindfulness practices and setting healthy boundaries with technology, we can create a more fulfilling and meaningful experience for ourselves and those around us. The book really emphasizes the need to create a mindful digital environment. It's about being intentional with our technology use and creating a digital space that supports our well-being and productivity. The book provides some really practical tips on how to do this. One suggestion is to declutter our digital spaces, just as we would declutter our physical spaces. Think about those apps on our phones that we haven't used in months or even years. Do we really need them? Probably not. It's like having a closet full of clothes you never wear. It just creates a sense of clutter and overwhelm. The same principle applies to our digital lives. Decluttering our devices by removing unnecessary apps, files, and notifications can create a sense of calm and clarity. The book goes a step further and suggests embracing minimalist design in our digital world. Think about simplifying our home screens, using interfaces designed for single tasking, and focusing on one app at a time to minimize distractions and improve our focus. In our world of constant multitasking, it's easy to get scattered and lose track of what we're trying to achieve. By focusing on one task at a time, we can truly improve our concentration and productivity. It's like the old saying, inch by inch, life's a cinch, yard by yard, life is hard. By breaking down our digital interactions into smaller, more focused chunks, we can make significant progress without feeling overwhelmed. The chapter also discusses how we can use technology to our advantage when it comes to mindfulness. There are many apps out there that can support our mindfulness journey. These apps offer things like guided meditations and breathing exercises, and there are even tools that help us track our screen time and set healthy boundaries. It's interesting to think that the same devices that can distract us can also be tools for self-awareness and personal growth. It all comes down to how we choose to use them. This leads us nicely to Chapter 10, Reclaiming Your Attention, which explores mindfulness practices and how they can help us regain control over our attention in a world that's constantly vying for it. This chapter is all about reconnecting with the present moment, both internally and externally. The book emphasizes the importance of sensory awareness practices, such as paying attention to our breath, our body sensations, and the sights and sounds around us. One of the practices it mentions is mindful walking. In mindful walking, you bring your full attention to the sensation of walking. Notice the movement of your body, the feeling of your feet on the ground, and the rhythm of your breath. It's a simple practice, but it can be incredibly grounding and calming. Mindful walking helps us shift our focus away from the constant chatter of our minds and the demands of the digital world, and really tune into the experience of being present in our bodies. The chapter also highlights the importance of connecting with nature as a way to reclaim our attention and restore our sense of well-being. Nature has a wonderful way of calming our minds, reducing stress, and bringing us back to a state of balance. This is a great reminder to take breaks from our screens and spend time outdoors. Whether it's a walk in the park, a hike in the woods, or simply sitting under a tree, connecting with nature can do wonders for our mental and emotional health. It's like hitting the reset button on our nervous system. And the best part is, it's accessible to all of us. Now let's discuss Chapter 11, Productivity in a Digital World. This chapter focuses on how we can use technology to enhance our productivity without becoming slaves to it. It's about finding a balance between leveraging the power of digital tools while also protecting our time, energy, and focus. One of the key messages in this chapter is the importance of prioritizing meaningful work. It encourages us to identify tasks that align with our values and goals and to focus on those, rather than getting caught up in the whirlwind of busy work. It's so easy to get caught up in checking things off our to-do lists without really thinking about whether those tasks are truly important or if they are helping us to achieve our goals. That's right. We might feel productive because we're busy, but are we really making meaningful progress towards what matters most? The book challenges us to reflect on our priorities and make sure our actions are aligned with our values. The chapter also suggests that we create some guidelines for our technology use. This might include setting specific times for checking email, limiting social media use, or using website blockers to avoid distractions. It's about creating structure and boundaries in our digital lives. It's easy to let technology take over, but by setting guidelines, we can stay in control and use technology in a more intentional way. This brings us to the final chapter, Chapter 12, The Future of Technology and Mindfulness. This chapter acknowledges that technology is constantly evolving and that the future holds both exciting possibilities and potential challenges. The book explores the impact of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and the Internet of Things.
It predicts that these technologies will continue to blur the lines between the digital and physical worlds, creating new opportunities for connection, learning, and experience. It's an exciting time to be alive.
But as these technologies advance, it's important that we don't lose sight of the importance of mindfulness, intentionality, and balance in our lives. You're absolutely right. The book encourages us to stay grounded in the present moment, to create digital boundaries that protect our time and attention, and to nurture those real-life connections that enrich our lives. It emphasizes that even as technology evolves, the core principles of mindfulness will remain essential for navigating this ever-changing world. It's about staying aware of how technology is impacting us, both positively and negatively, and making conscious choices about how we want to interact with it. The chapter also underscores the importance of digital literacy and critical thinking skills in the future. As technology becomes more sophisticated, we need to be able to evaluate information critically, understand the potential biases of algorithms, and make informed decisions about how we use these technologies. It's not just about using technology. It's about using it wisely and ethically. We have a responsibility to ourselves, to future generations, and to the planet to ensure that technology is used for good and that it doesn't create more problems than it solves. One suggestion in the chapter is to advocate for ethical technology development. It encourages us to support companies and initiatives that prioritize user well-being, privacy, and digital literacy. We have the power to shape the future of technology by supporting those who are developing it responsibly and ethically. We can choose to invest in technologies that enhance our lives rather than exploit us or detract from our well-being. Just as it's important to be mindful of how we use technology as individuals, it's also essential to consider the impact of technology on society as a whole. The book encourages us to engage in conversations about mindful tech use with our friends, families, and communities. It's about raising awareness, sharing ideas, and creating a collective shift towards a more balanced and mindful approach to technology. The more we talk about these issues, the more we can work together to create a future where technology serves humanity rather than the other way around. That concludes our summary of Unplugged, Living Mindfully in a Digital World. I hope you found this overview insightful and informative. The book provides a valuable perspective on how we can approach the digital age with intentionality and mindfulness. It's not about rejecting technology, but about using it wisely and consciously so that it enhances our lives rather than detracting from them. The book is filled with practical tips, real-world examples, and thought-provoking insights. Even if you only implement a few of the suggestions, you'll be well on your way to creating a more balanced and fulfilling relationship with technology. The key takeaway is that we have a choice in how we use technology. We can let it control us, or we can choose to use it as a tool to support our well-being, our relationships, and our overall happiness. Remember, it's an ongoing journey. It's okay to make mistakes and to adjust our approach as needed. The most important thing is to keep learning, experimenting, and striving to create a digital life that aligns with our values and aspirations. If you'd like to learn more, be sure to check out the link to the book in the description below. It's an excellent resource for anyone who wants to reclaim their attention, reduce stress, and live a more mindful life in a world that's constantly demanding our attention. It's empowering to realize that we have the power to shape our digital experience. I agree. We don't have to be passive consumers of technology. We can make conscious choices about how we use it, what information we consume, and how we allow it to influence our lives. The beauty of mindfulness is that it can be applied to any aspect of our lives, including our interactions with technology. It's about bringing awareness to our habits, making intentional choices, and cultivating a more balanced and fulfilling relationship with the digital world. One of the most important messages from the book is that technology is a tool. Like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. It all depends on the user. That's an important message for all of us. We have the power to choose how we want technology to shape our lives. That's a really powerful point. Technology is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. That's a great reminder for all of us as we navigate our digital lives. One of the things that really resonated with me in the book was the idea that mindful tech use doesn't mean giving up technology altogether.
Exactly.
It's about finding a healthy balance and making conscious choices about how we integrate technology into our lives. The book actually encourages us to use technology in ways that support our well-being and help us live more mindfully. For example, it talks about using meditation apps or apps that help us track our screen time. That's right. We can leverage technology to enhance our mindfulness practice. It's not about rejecting technology. It's about using it intentionally to create a more balanced and fulfilling life. One of the chapters that I found particularly helpful was Chapter 5, designing your digital environment. Me too. It's all about taking control of our digital spaces and making them work for us, rather than the other way around.
Exactly. The book suggests approaching our digital spaces with the same intentionality that we would approach our physical spaces. For instance, just as we declutter our homes to create a more peaceful and organized environment, we can also declutter our digital devices. It's about simplifying our home screens, getting rid of apps we don't use, and organizing our files and notifications to reduce that feeling of overwhelm. It makes so much sense. I mean, think about it. When your physical space is cluttered, it can be distracting and make it harder to focus. The same goes for our digital spaces. Absolutely. When our phones are cluttered with apps we never use or our desktops are overflowing with files, it can create a sense of mental clutter that makes it harder to think clearly and be productive. The book also talks about embracing minimalist design in our digital world. I loved that idea. It's about stripping away the unnecessary and focusing on what truly matters. Exactly. It could mean simplifying our home screens by only keeping the apps we use regularly, or using apps that have clean and uncluttered interfaces. I also appreciated the book's emphasis on single tasking. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded with information and expected to multitask, but our brains aren't actually designed to do that effectively. That's right. Multitasking can actually make us less productive and more stressed. The book encourages us to focus on one task at a time and to minimize distractions.
This can be as simple as closing unnecessary tabs on our computers or silencing notifications while we're working on something important. I've been trying to be more mindful of my multitasking habits, and I've noticed a real difference in my focus and productivity. It's incredible how much more we can accomplish when we give our full attention to one task at a time.
Another chapter that really resonated with me was Chapter 6, Setting Boundaries with Technology. It's all about reclaiming our time and attention and creating healthy boundaries between our digital lives and our real lives. Yes, setting boundaries is crucial in today's always connected world. It's so easy to get sucked into the digital vortex and lose track of time. The book offers a lot of practical tips for setting boundaries, like creating device-free zones and times. For example, making your bedroom a device-free zone can help you sleep better, and having tech-free family dinners can lead to more meaningful connections. I love that idea. It's about reclaiming those precious moments for face-to-face interaction and genuine connection. It's also important to establish clear boundaries around work. The book suggests turning off work-related notifications outside of work hours and create a ritual for disconnecting from work at the end of the day. That's so important. We need to protect our personal time and allow ourselves to fully disconnect from work so that we can recharge and come back refreshed. Another technique that I found helpful was the idea of using technology to support our boundary-setting efforts. That's interesting. How do you mean? Well, for example, you can use the Do Not Disturb feature on your phone to silence calls and notifications during certain times, or you can use apps that block distracting websites or limit your time on social media. That's a great idea. It's like using technology to outsmart itself. Exactly. We could leverage the power of technology to help us create the digital boundaries that we need. The book also talks about the importance of being mindful of our social media use. Social media can be a great way to connect with people and stay informed, but it can also be a major source of distraction and comparison. It's so easy to get caught up in the endless scroll and lose track of time. The book encourages us to curate our social media feeds so that we're following accounts that inspire us and bring us joy, rather than accounts that trigger negative emotions or make us feel inadequate. I've been trying to be more intentional about the accounts I follow, and it's made a big difference in my overall experience on social media. It's all about creating a digital environment that supports our well-being. The book also suggests taking regular breaks from social media and even doing digital detoxes to give ourselves a chance to reset and reconnect with ourselves and the real world. That's a great point. It's so important to step away from the digital noise and give ourselves some space to breathe and just be. Chapter 9, Encouraging Mindfulness in Families, provides some great advice for parents who are navigating the challenges of technology use in a family setting. It's so important to teach children healthy digital habits from a young age. The book emphasizes the importance of setting clear limits on screen time and creating tech-free zones and times within the home. It's also crucial for parents to model balanced tech use themselves. Children are always watching and learning from us, so it's important to be mindful of our own digital habits. The book also suggests creating family rituals that minimize screen distractions and encourage connection, like having tech-free family meals or game nights. Those are great ideas. It's all about creating opportunities for quality family time and fostering a sense of connection and togetherness.
One of the things I found most insightful in the book was the idea that technology is not inherently good or bad, but rather a reflection of ourselves. That's a profound observation. Technology is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for constructive or destructive purposes. It all comes down to our intentions and how we choose to use it. Technology can be a powerful force for good in the world, connecting people, spreading knowledge, and empowering individuals. But it can also be used to spread misinformation, exploit people, and contribute to social isolation and mental health problems. It's up to us to use technology wisely and ethically. The book encourages us to think critically about how technology is impacting our lives and our society, and to make conscious choices about how we want to interact with it. It's also important to have conversations about these issues with our friends, family, and communities. We need to work together to create a digital future that is aligned with our values and that serves humanity in a positive way. That's a great message to end on. The future of technology is in our hands. Absolutely. It's up to us to shape it in a way that benefits us all. Speaking of shaping the future, the book also delves into the world of emerging technologies and their potential impact on our lives. In Chapter 12, The Future of Technology and Mindfulness. That's right, the book talks about technologies like artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and the Internet of Things. It's fascinating to think about how these technologies will shape our world in the years to come. It's both exciting and a little daunting, isn't it? It's been a really insightful discussion about unplugged, living mindfully in a digital world. I agree. This book offers a fresh perspective on how we can navigate the digital age with intention and mindfulness. It's not about rejecting technology altogether, but about using it wisely and consciously so that it enhances our lives instead of diminishing them. One of the key takeaways for me is that we have a choice in how we use technology. We can either let it control us, or we can choose to use it as a tool to support our well-being, relationships, and overall happiness. Absolutely. The book empowers us to take control of our digital lives and create a more balanced and fulfilling relationship with technology. The author provides a wealth of practical tips and techniques that we can implement in our daily lives, such as setting boundaries, creating device-free zones, and practicing mindfulness. I particularly appreciated the emphasis on the importance of cultivating awareness of our digital habits. It's so easy to get caught up in the mindless scroll or to constantly check our phones without even realizing we're doing it. The book encourages us to pause, take a breath, and ask ourselves why we're using technology in that moment. What is our intention? Is it serving us, or is it just a distraction? These simple questions can help us to become more mindful of our technology use and make more conscious choices. The book also highlights the importance of connecting with nature as a way to ground ourselves and restore our sense of balance in a world that's increasingly dominated by technology. Spending time in nature has been shown to have numerous benefits for our physical and mental health, including reducing stress, improving mood, and boosting creativity. It's a great reminder to step away from our screens and immerse ourselves in the natural world. Whether it's going for a walk in the park, hiking in the woods, or simply sitting under a tree, connecting with nature can help us to feel more grounded, centered, and at peace. The book also encourages us to cultivate a sense of gratitude for the technology that we do have. It's easy to take technology for granted, but when we pause to appreciate the ways in which it enhances our lives, it can shift our perspective and help us to use it more mindfully. Technology can be a powerful tool for connecting with loved ones, learning new things, and experiencing the world in new ways. When we use it with intention and gratitude, it can truly enrich our lives. So, as we conclude this discussion of Unplugged, living mindfully in a digital world, I encourage you to reflect on your own relationship with technology. Where can you create more balance? Where can you set boundaries? How can you use technology more intentionally to support your well-being and happiness? The choice is yours. You have the power to shape your digital experience and create a life that is both fulfilling and connected. Remember, mindfulness is not a destination. It's a journey. It's an ongoing practice of cultivating awareness, intention, and compassion in all aspects of our lives, including our digital lives. If you'd like to learn more about the book and the author's insights, be sure to check out the link in the episode description. You'll find a link to purchase the book as well as additional resources on mindful technology use. Thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring. Until next time, stay present, stay connected, and stay mindful.